Hi everybody, I am back and I'm going to talk about a book that I don't have with me, so Lisa's going to put it up here, and I'm going to be talking about Daniel Jose Older's Shadowshaper. I've been meaning to read this book for a long time. It's been out for a couple of years, and in fact the second and I think the third one are out now. The cover is beautiful, as you can see. It's like all rainbowy and art and amazing hair, and I just have not gotten around to it for a while, and I finally got it and read it and was kicking myself the entire time I was reading it that I hadn't read it beforehand. I was like, I felt really bad for myself, that like my past self, that I had been denying myself the pleasure of this freaking book because it was so good. So it's about a young woman in Brooklyn, New York, who is from a Puerto Rican family, and her grandmother passed away a few years ago, and her grandfather more recently had a stroke, which leaves him functional. He can do things physically, but his mentally he's not quite there, so he needs a little help from the family. But she is a really talented artist, and a friend of his, like from his friend group, the older men who would all play cards together, or dominoes, I think dominoes, has hired her to paint a mural on the side of this this building that was once kind of like a high-rise that was planned to be built and then left on its own. So he hires her to paint a mural on it, and she starts to paint a large dragon. But she notices that all the other murals and paintings and graffiti around town have started to fade, and it's like really worrisome to her. They're fading, and they're also kind of changing. This one painting of another family friend looks like he's crying one day, and she can't figure it out. So a couple other weird things happen, and she gets to know another guy who is kind of her age, but not in her friend group, and she finds out from him that she comes from a long line of Shadowshapers who have this kind of mystical magic power back from the island of Puerto Rico, and it's been passed down, but she was never taught to kind of harness these powers, which are to speak and use the shadows, who are like souls of people who have died. And everybody has kind of a different way of doing that. Some people are storytellers, some people draw or paint like she and this other guy do. And she doesn't find out about it because her grandfather did not want to teach a girl. But the essence of their magic has disappeared, and so the magic itself is kind of dying as well, and there's someone out there who is trying to take control of it and use it for not good. So that alone is a really amazing kind of plot, and just like, you want to know what's going to happen, you want to know more about the magic and stuff. And so that's kind of what drew me into the story. But I love the world itself. I've never been to New York City. I've never been to Brooklyn. I'm not Puerto Rican. And I felt like I was there. Like I was just standing alongside the main character, who I read this book like 2 months ago, and I haven't been able to film a thing, so I can't remember her name right now, and I feel really bad. But I felt like I was there. There are lots of, and I've only read the first book in the series so far, so I don't know if this will continue to be a common thread in it, but there's a lot of evidence of gentrification in this neighborhood, where more wealthy white people are coming in and changing the environment and the atmosphere of this Brooklyn neighborhood. And that has a lot to do with the rest of the plot of the book. So I'm really excited to see if that continues on as a trend through the stories. So there's that, and you kind of get this feeling of how the neighborhood once was and how it's changing like inexorably in a way that the people who live there can't really change and are a little resentful of, but like especially some of the younger people take advantage of things like that, like having really nice coffee shops there, and how that's a good thing, but it's also not a great thing. The family dynamics are really great, and my number one thing are friendships. There are really great friendships that are in it, and they're in it consistently. A lot of times in a book, especially if there's kind of a love interest or the character is going off and finding out magical things about themselves, if they don't immediately bring their friends into the circle of knowledge, basically, they have to go it on their own because they're protecting their friends, and you don't get any more of that development of those characters and their relationships. This one doesn't do that so much, which I was really excited about. And the main character has more than one friend. She's a whole friend group, and they all act differently with each other, and it's just really good. And there's magic. There are parts that are scary, and there are a couple parts that you kind of question, like, oh, is it really that person? Oh, that like twist that I didn't see coming. There's a librarian, and I like it when there are positive portrayals of librarians in books, in media in general. So yeah, I'm really excited to read the second one, and if there's a third one, I want to say the third one's out, but I could be wrong. I'm gonna check real quick. So yeah, the second one is out. It's called Shadow House Fall, and the third one is unnamed as of yet. So that might be different by the time you see this, but yes, so I'm excited to read the second one, and then the third one, definitely. So that is Shadowshapers. Make sure you do all those nice things that you can do on YouTube, like this video, comment down below if you've read this book and you're excited to read the second and then eventually the third one, or whatever you'd like to say about this book. If you have any magical powers that have been passed down through your family line, I want to know about them. That's fascinating to me. Subscribe, that's the other one, and share wherever you like to share YouTube videos. And thank you for listening to my rant.